So I'm going to introduce Stephen Kern, who's a team leader in the Office of International Programs and Binational Programs, and Felicia Wolf, also a program manager, who's going to briefly talk about some of the international travel considerations, and then turn it over to Athena, who will speak more in detail on it. So I'll turn it over to you, Steve and Felicia.
Hi, everyone. I think Steve said that he was going to be jumping on here, so maybe he's just running a little bit late, but I'll get started. I'm Felicia Wolf. I'm the program manager for the Binationals program in the Office of International Programs. Steve Kern is our team leader. And I was just going to share a couple points about, oh, there's Steve.
Oh, well, I apologize. No, go
That's
ahead.
okay.
You got it started.
No, it's okay. I introduced our name, so you take it from here.
Okay, I apologize. I'm having some technical issues with my Zoom connection. Just very quickly, I'm the team leader for programs and federal highways. Our office works to facilitate interactions and exchanges with countries and organizations around the world to access, promote, and disseminate global best practices and technologies that can help improve the United States transportation system. We've got a few major programs in the office. Our team works mainly on binational programs related to country-to-country relationships that focus on long-term exchanges on a wide variety of topics. The multinational team focuses on working with international organizations such as the World Road Association, the European Commission, and other similar entities. We also have the Global Benchmarking Study, which focuses on accessing, acquiring, and adapting technologies and best practices that are already in use in other countries around the world that focus on priority topics that we can adapt here in the United States. And then we also have an international visitor program that focuses on foreign requests to come visit and meet with subject matter experts here in the United States. So those are just some of the programs we do. In relation to this, we've been reaching out to counterparts in Mexico and in Canada, and along the border areas where the Eclipse is scheduled to transverse, to try and reach out and make sure everybody's communicating together and knows what the other countries are doing in terms of their response and preparation, as well as activities that might be taking place along the border. And that's it, short and sweet. So thank you for the opportunity, and I'll give it back to you, David.
Thanks for hopping on. Appreciate you guys jumping on. Our next speaker is let's see, Athena Hutchins. Athena Hutchins, PE, is the Executive Director of the Niagara International Transportation Technology Coalition, or NITEC, providing overall leadership and management responsibilities for the multi-agency international coalition of transportation entities in Western New York and Southern Ontario. As director of the coalition, Athena is responsible for multi-agency intelligent transportation systems, operations and technology deployment, information dissemination, standards development, incident management, and regional collaboration across international boundaries. Thanks for joining us, Athena, and the floor is yours.
Great, thanks for having me today. So I wanted to talk a little bit about NITEC and who we are, and then I'll talk about some of the planning efforts we're involved in. So next slide. So NITEC's mission is really to improve mobility throughout this binational region. And, you know, in order to do that, I really need to coordinate operations. So we work very closely with various entities throughout this region. You can see on the map where Western New York and Southern Ontario. We were established almost 30 years ago under a federal mobility grant. Really, it was to bring the partners in the region together to make sure we're coordinating operations across, especially the border crossing region. There's 3 major bridge crossings in the region, and 2 different bridge entities own and operate those bridges. There's another bridge that's a nexus only. We don't get as much traffic over that bridge, but there's 3 primary bridges. So again, part of the premise of us being formed was to help coordinate that amongst this region. We work very closely with, right now we have 42 member agencies that are a part of us. They're the transportation agencies, public safety, border enforcement, emergency services, recovery, work with so many different partners throughout our region very closely. We're the only binational coalition of its kind between US and Canada. Next slide. So want to talk a little bit about regional operation and some of the functions we do. We at NITEC, we get heavily involved in helping coordinate and collaborate with the different agencies. Really, it's about bringing everybody together. We meet on a regular basis. We don't just, get together when there's something big's going to happen or a snow event. We're constantly meeting on a regular basis. We have various committees. The agencies have stakeholders that are represented at these committees, and we meet and work on different initiatives. Every year we look at where do we need to make improvements. Any kind of, pulling in additional members, that's where we help pull that together in the region. And like I said, traveler information, border crossing, emergency management, these are just some of the functions we do in this region, special event planning and management. So again, this is where we have an opportunity to bring all of our partners together at the table and help work together and make sure how we're all operating throughout the region, and, whether it's sharing resources or just helping each other out. And then we collect a lot of data, we report on that and make that information available to the agencies as well. Next slide. So we run a traffic operations center on behalf of the agencies in the region. So we are 24/7 operations. We are the New York State Department of Transportation's operations center for this region for them. They don't have their own operations center. We're really kind of the information clearinghouse. You call into our operations center, and then we have that ability to contact the different agencies, the different first responders, anyone who might need the information and share it out. We help coordinate that. And again, when it comes to event planning and pulling all the agencies together, that's something we have done over the years, really, and working closely. We operate about 175 cameras in this region. We are binational. We operate the various intelligent transportation systems in Western New York, but we are in close communication with Southern Ontario and Canada with their operations center. And then we're sharing and making sure, we're standardizing messages, and we're just working together so it's seamless. Next slide. So again, like I said, the various intelligent transportation systems throughout the region that we operate on behalf of the agencies. New York State Thruway Authority runs through our region. And then the 2 bridge operators, the Peace Bridge Authority and Niagara Falls Bridge Commission, we have access to some of their cameras, and we can help with some of that information. And then the Ministry of Transportation Ontario, we work very closely with them. We have access to some of their cameras as well, and we're relaying and communicating back and forth information. Our advanced traffic management system is communicating directly with various systems. So it's getting information in from the ministries, their system right into our system, and it's an automatic feed. We're feeding 511 New York with traffic information. So again, it's really sharing the information back and forth across the region and making it seamless. The different agencies own and operate the different equipment, but we're the ones that are able to standardize messaging and put the various messages signs up on the signs throughout the entire region. Next slide. And then traveler information, that's where we have the ability to share the information with the traveling public. So like I said, we operate the dynamic message signs on the US side, and then we're in direct coordination on the Canadian side to relay the same informations across the border. We do various campaigns, incident information, travel times, border wait time information. So that is something in this region with the 3 border crossings. We've really worked over the years to make sure we're balancing the load of traffic across all 3 bridges, and not just having large delays at one of the bridges. So we've worked very closely on that. We share an automated system. We all are collecting the same information and sharing it out to our websites, but it's one system that has border delay information that is being shared. NYTEC has a website where it's pulling in all this information from all the different agencies onto one platform. And again, it's also available on 511 New York and 511 Ontario. We have an app as well where you can go on and get the information. You can see our streaming camera images. Like I said, there's about 170 cameras in the region on our website that are streaming. We also operate almost 40 overhead message signs. A lot of the portable message signs, we operate those on behalf of the agencies as well in the region. Next slide. So everyone has seen this path on various slides. So next slide. So we zoomed into the Buffalo area. As you can see, it's right at the right by Niagara Falls. So the Buffalo area around 318, but really, it's starting the partial eclipse around 2 o'clock, I think 2:05, and ending around 4:32-ish. We've got about 3 minutes and 45 seconds in Buffalo of the total eclipse. Buffalo is on the direct center line. So we're envisioning a lot of people coming to this region. Niagara Falls, with close proximity to Buffalo, people going to that area as well. Next slide. So some of the concerns is we're hearing potentially 1 million visitors to our area. I know the hotels have been sold out for quite some time. Niagara Falls has been identified as a very high designated location for people to, witness the eclipse at, get some, nice pictures over the falls. The nice thing is visitors will be arriving. It'll be spread out through the weekend. We envisioning Friday, Saturday, Sunday, leading into Monday. So don't really anticipate a lot of traffic issues leading into it. It's really more so going to be after the event. And then the timing of it, the partial eclipse ends around 4:30, which again, that really starts getting into normal rush hour traffic for Buffalo. So not quite sure, what normal rush hour traffic is going to look like that day, anticipating, there'll be schools are closed, there'll be some work from home situations, but again, we'll still have some, normal business, rush hour traffic. And then traffic across the border is something that we anticipate. Now, there are events we're tracking on the US side, some large events, and then also on the Canadian side as well. So I mean, the ideal situation would be people come to maybe down from Toronto and they go to Niagara Falls in Ontario and they witness and stay there and then return back. And then same in Buffalo, whether they're coming from the east or the south, they're going to come and then they're going to stay on the US side and not cross. But it's hard to know exactly what kind of traffic you're going to have going across the border, or depending on the weather. Obviously, that's can change things significantly depending on as the forecast is, leading up to Sunday and cloud cover, we'll have to figure out what we kind of think might be happening. I know we will be doing some messaging ahead of time to let people know, make sure you're not stopping on highways, be prepared, and then really trying to work on making sure some of the congested roadways that first responders can get access to hospitals and emergency centers. So a lot of those were concerns that we're trying to make sure we're addressing. The waterways, now April in Buffalo, it could be a nice sunny 70-degree day and it could be snowing and not so nice. So the water on Lake Erie, Lake Ontario is still very cold at that time. So I know there's, we've had a lot of discussions with the US Coast Guard on, making sure the waterways are safe as well. So next slide. So we began planning this obviously over a year ago. We've been working closely with the different agencies on a regular basis, talking at our various committee meetings and working through, what any concerns are, what we need to be planning for. And we've, like I said, we've been holding the various meetings. We are having a large stakeholder meeting next week on February 29th to really make sure we're working with our border crossing committee, our incident management committee, with both in our Western New York group and our Southern Ontario group, and then our traffic operations center committee as well, and really pulling those members together and making sure that we're all on the same page. The agencies themselves can give updates on, what their various plans are, And then, we're helping coordinate and kind of pull that information together in the region. We've started to develop messaging plans. Now that we know where some of the larger events are, we can do various messaging plans in advance and, be prepared to have our systems ready to go if we need to enact different plans. We're also starting to look at various kind of, whether it's diversion route plans or, toggling traffic at different areas. We're starting to pull some together, some different maps, working with the agencies to see about staging resources. I know, like I said, working very closely with various task groups. There's, our Office of Emergency Management we're working closely with for New York State. There's a traffic mitigation plan that's been circulated. So kind of pulling all that information and making sure various regions throughout the state, we're learning from each other and preparing and pulling these together. And then also we're trying to coordinate with the Ministry of Transportation Ontario as well on what are their messaging plans like, when messaging plans look like, what does their traffic management plans look like, just to make sure we're consistent and relaying the same messaging across this region, and really just making sure then, we're all on the same page. So we're anticipating, a large turnout at our February 29th meeting. We've had various meetings leading up to this. So really a lot of it's now reporting out. And we've had these various meetings where each agency has been reporting out what are their plans, what is their staffing, staging of resources, pulling that together. And again, that's where NITEC can bring that, where we're helping all the agencies pull together. So New York State DOT has their plans and what they're doing. We're able to kind of fold that into an overarching plan. What are Thruway Authority's plans, the county, there's 4 counties within our region, and there's various events happening throughout the counties. So again, pulling that in. And then we've been having very kind of localized meetings as well, making sure that the stakeholders, for instance, in Niagara Falls, making sure we're working closely with the police and the fire there, the state parks there, knowing that they're going to have an influx of travelers coming to the Niagara Falls region as well. So again, a lot of coordination we are doing and pulling together these various plans, but just making sure. And, one of the things NITEC's been doing is helping go through a lot of the lessons learned from the 2017 Eclipse, and then bringing that to the different agencies, and sharing that information. So this webinar has been very helpful. Like I said, we're going to pull some of this information that we're hearing today, provide that at our February 29th meeting with all of our stakeholders, and make sure we're, let's learn from what others have done throughout the region and help with that. So next slide. So again, like big draw, a lot of happening. And we've been fortunate. There's a whole consortium here in Western New York that's been very proactive. A lot of the astronomers, they've had a whole series of meetings. We're one of the stakeholders as far as the traffic and transportation goes. So we've been participating in those meetings on a regular basis and helping share that information across, outside of kind of the traffic management piece, but making sure those entities understand, what the capabilities are and how we're collaborating with the agencies and working together in our region. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Athena. I really like those posters. Those were sharp. And like you said, the regional coordination that you're doing is so important. It just adds an extra layer of coordination to big events like this. But I really like those posters. Those are cool.
I don't take credit for them. They were developed by various groups here in Buffalo, but they did develop these and for use in publications. So
very nice. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it.